Hey everyone, welcome to another Friday Night Sit Down podcast
with Nick.
and Nadine. And so today we are going to be discussing another. Are you tired, Nick?
Yeah, another
interesting
topic.
Marriage topic. So, what was the topic that we're doing?
The topic is marriage is not hard.
Okay. So marriage is not hard. Nick brought this to my attention. A lot of people like to say that marriage is hard, but he was like, you know what? Marriage is not hard. It is absolutely not hard. And so I thought it was like a really good topic to go ahead and discuss. So would you like to elaborate on that, Nick?
I was just saying that marriage itself is not hard. It's just we as people, the people in the marriage make it hard, right? So I mean, growing up, everybody, you always hear marriage is hard, it work. Yeah. And whatever you do, you're gonna work. You always working on whatever you aspire to be, or whatever is gonna contribute to your livelihood, right? As a family. So I just don't think that marriage. It sounds when somebody said marriage is hard, it just makes it seems like once you get married, then everything is hard. Everything gets hard, and I don't think that's the case. I think once you join as a union together as one, then everything should be easier, right?
Yeah.
So that's that's the way how I look at it. That's the way how I always approach it. Like this come together and we share our thoughts and our ideas and make everything easier. So that's how I came up with. I hear people say it all the time. Marriage is hard.
Yeah.
I got to be working on it. I mean, obviously, as two different people, you're gonna have your bumps in the road or whatever. But it takes a level of understanding from each other to get over those bumps in the road. That's a big part of making it work, making your marriage work, right?
So as with all of our podcasts, I would like to make the disclaimer. We're not perfect, so we always just kind of go off of our own experiences and our own thoughts. We're here. We believe that we have a successful marriage, and that we've been able to overcome many things and obstacles, so forth and so on, throughout our time together. And so I just want to put that out there. So, respectfully, if you want to leave a comment, go ahead and leave that comment in the comment section. However, please be respectful. And if you disagree with us, that is perfectly fine. We will listen to anything that you have to say. But let's go ahead and have a conversation.
Yeah, like we're regular people. There's no judging.
Yeah, no judging.
Like if you can say however you feel, whatever works for you works for you. Like I said before, this is like my wife says, we're just sharing what works for us with you guys, and how we have got to this point and what works for us. Mm-hmm. So that's all it is. I mean, what worked for us may not work for you, but we're just sharing some of our experiences.
So I definitely agree with that take. Okay, so you always hear people saying the statement, marriage is so hard. It's so hard. So one thing that does, I think, with a lot of people is it keeps people away from even wanting to get married. So that is definitely a deterrent. Like if I'm a single person and I keep hearing people say, oh, marriage is so hard. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I can see how, and I hear a lot of women say, men are reluctant to get married. It could be because they're reluctant because of the woman that they're with at that moment. But it could also be reluctant because they've grown up in a society and a culture of hearing how hard and how difficult and how complicated marriage is. But essentially, Nick is right. Like marriage is not that complicated.
And it should not be.
It shouldn't be complicated, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I was able to, when he said it to me, I had to think about it, right? So I think what people are referring to when they say marriage is hard is the hard part of self-control. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and you always hear you. This is what, when you hear hard work always follow, right? It's hard. You got to work on it every day, which everything you do is work.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that part of it is kind of like, okay, you're it's work. Everything you do is work, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Getting up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night is
it's
work.
You got to
Yes.
get up, right? You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
like like you have a job. You try to get better every day at your job.
Yes. Yes.
That's work.
So
You know what I mean?
when you're a person, you try to get better every day. I would hope
as a person.
As a person. So even that, I mean, that has to be the hardest job, to just be a person and have to go out into the world and function amongst a million different people. You're going to encounter thousands of people, probably, especially depending on your career path. Thousands of people in your lifetime, even in a customer service capacity, on the phone, face to face, whatever. And it is work to deal with a variety of different personalities, right? Yeah. Sometimes you come across people, even like in a grocery store or in like a situation, and they're like so rude to you, or they've irritated you in some way, and you have to keep it together.
Yep.
So that in of itself is work. The difference is you don't have to go home to that person. You don't have to stay in the same bed as that person. You can kind of have your encounter and walk away, right? So if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, is it fair to say that marriage is work the way how people say it's work? It's just work to live amongst a variety of different people in this world, just kind of in general.
Yeah, and I always like to look at the brighter side of things, and like just going in with a positive energy, like I'm not gonna say I don't like the word. It's hard. It's work. It's this.
It
it's
sounds
that.
so.
You know what I mean? It sounds like a daunting task, right? Like to get married, right? It would sound. It would sound like a daunting task. Like, oh my God, I hear these couple over here saying marriage is hard.
It's hard work,
and it's
you gotta keep doing it.
You gotta work. Like it
doesn't years of hard work. It never stops.
It doesn't sound appealing. Right? It doesn't sound enticing, right? So I think I don't say that, and we don't do that. We just try to make sure that we
Do I ever tell you it's a lot of work to deal with you?
No.
So I ever say
I don't remember you ever say it's a lot of work.
I've never heard you say that it's a lot of work to deal with me. Yeah.
Because
what happened to the fairy tale part? Like what happened to so before the work comes, there's work, right? So you got to take the time to know the person, see if you like the person, to date the person, to impress the person. Look at all the work that you take.
But this is the thing. If you're doing, you always hear this, right? If you're doing something you like, it's never considered work.
That's true. That is true. I mean? If you like the person,
it will.
If you love the person,
it's never considered.
It's never work, right?
So, I mean, every day, like, like you're getting to know this person more and more.
You better have your PhD.
Exactly. you're, but it's not really work because you love what you're doing. You like that, So, I just think that
it should be more like an adventure, like a story that you're putting together, something that you're trying to build up, like a project. I hate to put it like this, but like marriage should be like your favorite projects ever that you would be working on.
Right? And I'm saying this and trust me. This like our marriage is not.
We're
We're
not
not perfect.
perfect. Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Obviously, we
You
argue.
guys know that we're not perfect
Yeah,
because I'm sure if you've seen the podcast
yeah.
before, you guys know we go back and forth. Honestly, when we're done with these podcasts, even if we're like, I tend to get a little more heated than he does, but even if like we're going at it, by the time that camera shuts off, I guarantee like it's undone.
But I'm gonna tell you,
it's undone. Nothing is coming out of it.
So I'm gonna give so from a man perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being in a marriage, having kids, having a family, right? Um, what works for me is through the arguing and whatever, like
well, define arguing.
We got different feelings and whatever.
Define arguing.
I mean, like I might disagree on something that you have a different feeling about or whatever.
So we're not talking about arguing like we're throwing the glass at your head.
No, that's physical. There's nothing physical.
Fighting,
right?
Yeah.
It's all.
We're not talking about arguing like we're cussing each other. It's not that kind of. Yeah, it's not that kind of arguing.
Somebody's passionate about a point, and
you like to use the word passionate. Whatever.
So,
yeah.
So this, what I'm saying is, what works for me, is there's one thing that's in our relationship that's constant and is respect, right? So we both have respect for each other, to whereas like throughout the bumps or whatever, there's just certain things that's just not gonna happen because I respect her and she respect me. I think once you lose that respect for the person that you're with, then anything is possible. And I think that's done us a great deal to know that we have the respect for each other. So even if a little argument ensue here or whatever, the respect is still there to know that what, all right, I'm not gonna say this, but I'm not gonna say it because the respect and the level of
you might want to translate that one.
The level, the level,
yeah. The level. I was gonna. Go ahead. I was gonna say this, but I'm not gonna say this. Is basically what he was saying.
I was gonna say that. Did I just speak Jamaican?
Yeah.
That part? Okay. So if an argument ensue, and because I respect my wife so much, something might come to me that's gonna be so terrible, but because I respect her as my wife and as the mother of my kids, I won't say. I have that boundary. There's a boundary there that I just won't cross, and that works for me. I mean, I'm just giving you guys.
So this is through a lot of trial and error.
That works for me. Right?
Yeah, this is through a lot of trial. Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error because, I mean, I definitely have not been always perfect, and Nick can tell you through his own testimony that he has not been perfect. So, like, so from a man's perspective, what is the thing that makes you catch yourself? Like, so realizing basically that you have to be present in your marriage because, I mean, we know there are relationships that go through a lot of things. Relationships go through battles, especially like, I want to say, how do I say this? Especially like young couples, they might battle a lot of things, especially men, right? Infidelity is one major thing, right?
Yep.
For men, and it's hard. Like as a woman, this is probably like another topic that I don't want to go too far into, but like, what is that thing as a man that makes you kind of catch yourself and realize that you have to stay in your mind has to stay in your marriage?
So
because we were talking about something earlier and you said something to me, and it was very like, I was like, whoa. Do you remember what that was we were talking
about? I think your question is what keeps me grounded in my marriage.
Yeah, I guess if there's younger men out there, or just men out there that are struggling and they feel like marriage is hard, because there's so many different ways we could go with this, and I don't
Oh,
want to.
so this is the thing, right?
Yeah.
So like earlier you said it, right? Like when like when you just started dating and you meet somebody, you go all out for that person, right? You're trying to win that person
Hmm.
over, right? So now you win the person, and this might sound so cliche because you hear this all the time, right? Like you win the person, now you have the person, now you get complacent, you don't do the things you used to do, you don't, you know what I mean? Like I think as a couple, as a married couple, like you should that fire should always be burning, right, for that person.
Mm-hmm.
And not saying the fire can't dim, right? But once the fire dim, you have to realize that hey, the fire dim, and you have to get with that person, and you got to let that person know, hey, you know, something has to happen. Like we got to do something to get this fire back going.
Yeah. So
You know
sometimes
what I
it's
mean?
like
So,
going on
so
vacations, trips,
yeah, go
just
little,
spending
and
more
I'm
time
not,
together.
and it's simple things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simple things, right?
Flowers.
So, you know,
I love you.
flowers. I love you.
Cute things that you would have said to
Just
them when
little,
you were dating.
exactly, just little things, right? Because those little things,
It kind of like sets the flame back on.
sometimes we we get so used to a person, and you forget what makes that person, what had that person burning for you. You know what I mean? Like you forget because you're so, the life happened and you're engulfed with so much things, and that person, you stop paying attention to that person like the way you used to.
Mm-hmm.
You tune in the person out there, they're talking to you, you don't give them that attention that you used to give them when you first, you know so I think maturity is a big part of it, because like you after being with a person for for so long, there's just certain things that you're gonna pick up on and key in on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna you're gonna know what makes that person tick.
Mm-hmm.
So you should be wanting to do those stuff more often that makes that person,
Mm-hmm.
tick, or whatever the case may be, and just always keep that fire burning, because it's easy. The fire will go out, man. If you stop fueling that fire, it's gonna go out.
Mm-hmm. There are men out there and women out there. They just don't seem to like they. You get married, but they're just not satisfied. I mean, what is the fix for that? Like, I'm a pretty simplistic person, right? So I feel like I kind of know what I want. Um,
Yeah.
I think we've discussed this on a previous podcast. It's really, really important that before you get involved with people, you kind of are going in the same direction, because if you're not, like if you don't have the same mindset, then that's a major, yeah, that's a major problem. So for instance, like he wants to be a major business entrepreneur and he wants to travel the world and do a lot of things. And I want to have a family. I want to be traditional. I want to purchase a home and raise my kids and live a very simplistic lifestyle. And he's kind of out and about, and I mean that's just not going to work, right? If he's not ready to purchase a home, sit down, raise the kids, and do family things with you, he kind of wants to just be all over the place. It's not going to work, right? So that is a major, major thing at the very beginning. Now, fast track. We're in the marriage. We believe that we were a perfect match. I always go back to the beginning and the way how God constructed it, because I believe that marriage has a framework.
Yeah.
So I believe Adam and Eve, came onto this earth with a framework. And if you guys ever notice, there was a breakdown in the first marriage that was on the earth. The breakdown happened when, Eve convinced Adam to take a bite of this apple. Mm-hmm. But if you pay attention to even that story, you'll notice there was no divorce. Like there was no blame game. Oh, well, because you told me to do this, I did this, and now we're in trouble. Like, no, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. No. And that is a big part of the reason why marriages break down and seem like so much work because everybody's always looking for somebody to blame, and people are not working in cohesion with each other, right? They're not working alongside with each other. I can only speak from a woman's standpoint.
So, so let me ask you a question.
I want you to give the men some fruits because, yeah.
I will, but I have a question
Mm-hmm.
that just um came to me. So let me ask you this. So do you so as a woman, right? As a
Mm-hmm.
woman, is it can you easily detect when your spouse has um like stepped outside of the relationship? Can a woman does a woman have a sense of their husband or their boyfriend or whoever is doing something else with somebody?
I think so. Sometimes, even if a woman does not want to admit to it, doesn't want to believe it, I think so. Then you have women that are just paranoid and they're just always like kind of looking for stuff. But I believe deep down inside, women know. Women know. They
Okay.
definitely know.
That the person is doing something else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, it's a fair answer.
It's
So as a man, right, and this is like I said before, these are things that I'm sharing some of my life with you guys, and I think as a man, right, um, we're a macho, right? We're
mature.
dominant,
Mm-hmm.
like macho,
Oh,
macho,
macho.
macho,
Sorry,
right?
the
You're
accent.
strong.
Macho. Okay.
You're dominant.
Okay.
Whatever. You could conquer the world. You trying to do.
Okay.
You trying to get there and conquer everything you see, right?
Okay.
Um, and you feel like you're the man. You feel like you're living your best life, right? And you're like, yeah, I'm the man. Da 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 da. Whatever. Only to find out, like, you get married, and you dedicate your whole life to your family and that one person
Mm-hmm.
that you said I do to, and only to find out that's the happiest that you could ever be,
Mm-hmm.
even though you think you were happy
Yeah, a
when
lot
you're
of
doing
men think that they
when
want
you're
to
doing
sample over here
when
and
you're
say,
doing a million
"Let's
different
take
things.
this ice cream and that
Yeah,
ice
you're doing
cream,"
a
and
million different
I
things,
want to keep this one, but
and
I still want to sample. Yeah.
when in
Mm-hmm.
reality you're functioning, but you won't truly experience what happiness is until you commit to that person fully that you said I do to. And earlier I used the analogy to you earlier. It's like a game, right? Like a sports game, like even baseball, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ball go outside the boundary, and there's consequences to that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
There's
within
consequences to
yeah
everything in
within
this
the
world. Yeah.
union within your union, right, there's
Mm-hmm.
a framework like you alluded to earlier that you live
Mm-hmm.
through. So once you
To have a
step
successful
yeah to
marriage.
have a successful marriage, once you step outside of that framework, then then all hell break loose, right? there's
Mm-hmm.
there's so many different things
There's so many
that
different ways that
that
we're going, and it's not a straight path.
and
So this is the
it
bingo
causes
right here.
it causes it causes problems.
This is the secret to happy marriage, right?
Yeah.
Stay within your
Framework.
framework,
Yeah.
right?
Of your union.
And it's really, I mean, I guess it's hard in a sense if you have no self control.
Yes.
If you have no self control, if self control is an area that you need to develop, that you need to build, that you need to work on,
Yeah.
definitely don't get married. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely don't get married. Build and work on that before you get to the altar.
Yeah.
But if you're already in, then maybe it's a discussion that has to be had.
Yeah, and I
How
think
do you manage that if you're in and you realize that you have a self control issue? Like it could be the woman, it could be the man for
so
various
so so
reasons. How
this
do
is
you handle that?
so this is where you got to be honest with
I
yourself,
mean, I
right?
think we've dealt with things like
Yeah,
that.
but you have
Yeah.
to be as a man or as a woman. I'm not gonna speak for the man. As a man,
Okay.
I'm speaking for me as a man, right?
Mm-hmm. That's
You
what women
have
want to
to
hear.
be yeah, you
We
have to
want to
be
make sure.
honest with yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so often, man, they're not honest. They're not
Mm.
forthcoming, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're strong. Like I said before, they don't want to show their vulnerability to
Mm-hmm.
anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they don't want to look weak, so called looking weak, right?
And
But
sometimes sharing.
but but like
Mm-hmm.
you have to be, I think, because I've been vulnerable to you so many times, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have to be vulnerable to that person so they could fully understand the scope of what they're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think as a woman, if you have a guy, right, and he's never like you have never he's never been vulnerable to you. You
Mm-hmm.
really don't know. You really can't. You're not. You don't. You not. You don't fully understand that person. You will never fully understand that person. For females, that's the reason why a dude. That's the reason why females could love so hard, right? Because you guys are always vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
to that to a man, right?
It's
So
easier.
he
Vulnerability
knows.
is a little bit easier for women.
So a
Mm-hmm.
man knows that he knows everything about you
Mm-hmm.
because you're so vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in turn, a man is not gonna put himself out there like that. So you don't. A lot of females think they know. That's
Mm-hmm.
the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
They think they know, and they think they could change the whole scenario for a man.
Mm.
And
He might
he's
not want you
never
to
been
know.
because he's
Yeah.
never been vulnerable to you. You're making this up in your psychic, thinking you know,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So when a woman is vulnerable, they're gonna pour everything out to you. As a man, you know exactly how they feel. You know exactly what's going on with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how to maneuver them. A man is not gonna do it, so you don't know. You're saying, "Oh, he's this and he's." You don't know because he's never been vulnerable to you.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
so that's. I think that's part of the that's part of what makes our relationship um
Why do
work
you think
because
men cannot be vulnerable
because of
towards
being
women?
the because of
Like
what
they cannot.
because you're a man. You think you're gonna look weak.
So is that a
You're gonna look a
part?
certain
Do
way.
you think that's a part of why men are like men? I know I'm gonna say something and I'm
Yeah.
gonna get myself. I'm always getting myself in trouble. I'm the troublemaker. Okay, I'm the troublemaker. But more often than women, men generally step out of marriages more often than women. I'm not saying women don't, but more often. I mean, I've heard more stories of men doing it than women doing it in my personal life.
Like cheat, you're saying?
Yeah. So do you think that that's the reason why? Because men are not vulnerable. So like they kind of have this persona, the wife, and then they go and have these other personas with other women. Do you think that that's the main reason why men actually do that?
Well, I wouldn't say the main reason why, but I think it contributes to that.
Okay. So there's more. I
You know
guess
what I
we're gonna
mean?
have to have a
So
discussion on another day about the more. But okay. So
because there's different factors why a guy would cheat. There's a lot of different um things why I think why a guy would cheat. A lot. There's a lot. There's a like I said
the
before.
biggest reason is the man is cheating because of his issues,
Yes, his issues.
not her issues, or not his
Like
so-called issues with her.
how many times you heard of a relationship where the woman will do everything she can possibly do, and the guy he's getting treated like a king,
Okay, and
and the
he's
guy
still
still find a way to go do something,
so
right?
that was so
The guy still find a way to go do something. You know what I mean? So
mm,
it makes you question. It makes you think like, what is the problem?
yeah. There's
You know what I
something.
mean?
So essentially, though, I mean, let's come back around to this vulnerability. If he was totally vulnerable and honest with her, would he be cheating?
That's what I'm saying. It
So it does come back around to
it
that
so that's
ultimately.
part of it. That's what I'm saying. That plays into it too, right? That do plays into that whole thing, right? So I mean, it's
It's a very complex situation
yeah
when you
because
talk about that.
and it goes back to what you said, self control, right? As a man, you you have to have self control. You know what I mean? You gotta have self control,
Alexa, turn off.
and you gotta be, you gotta have self control. You gotta have patience. And you gotta be willing. So this is so, guys. I'm gonna let you in on a secret. With us, I'm talking about, and a lot of what I'm saying is what worked for us or whatever. But I think everybody say this. Everybody says, "Oh, you gotta have great communication," blah 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 blah, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's true, but what are you communicating? You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like we communicate, we talk about things,
Mm-hmm.
we take the time to listen, and like I was saying earlier, like sometimes people get in a relationship on 5 6 years down the line, them don't want to listen no more. Them don't want, you know what I mean? They're not attentive like they're like in the beginning. You know what I mean? So I think that works for us because we always I always try to listen to what you're saying, and you always try to listen. Give me that
I act like
attention.
I'm not listening.
Give me that attention. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I mean,
I sometimes act like I'm not listening, and then I take a moment to process sometimes.
But I think
I'm a little slow on processing because let's just say I'm a very passionate person. Nick likes to use the word passionate. I'm a very passionate person. Yeah.
But yeah, and there's nothing like we communicate, we talk all the time or whatever. There's nothing hiding.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there should be no secrets between us. You get
So
what I'm saying?
that's essentially the cure. Like that is the cure.
So there's no secret.
That's a cure.
There's no secret,
that's
guys.
the cure for a broken marriage right there. So marriage isn't work because if you're doing all of the right things, everything falls into place. Like if you have self-control, so the thing that is the work is you. It's not you working for the other person or working to make the other person. It's you working on you.
Yeah.
Which before you even got married, that should have been a thing that you were already doing daily.
Yeah.
Right. And so when we say marriage is work, oh my gosh, like everything he does is giving me work. Well, maybe it's everything that I perceive or how I handle situations.
Yeah.
And, that is my work, right? So is it the marriage or is it an individual thing? Because what you do in your marriage, it carries out into the open. It's sometimes easier to be nice to a stranger for 5 minutes, but also long-term relationships. I think some of whatever is happening in your marriage leads into long-term relationships, right? I'm a very kind of like, I don't want to say that I'm antisocial because I love people. However, I'm very kind of secluded in a sense. Like, I don't think that it's secluded, but I guess I fear. I hate to use the word fear. I I like loyalty. I'm a very like loyal person personally. So if I have somebody close to me, that person has to be loyal. Like it's almost like I'm watching them for a while. Like I'm kind of like not sure about them. So I'm watching. When I see a level of loyalty bleed through into the relationship,
yeah,
then I'm like, okay, I can kind of breathe and let my guard down a little bit more and more and more. And I can trust them a little bit more. So because I'm that kind of person, it definitely mattered that Nick would kind of be vulnerable because his ultimate vulnerability, he was not always like that from the very beginning. But like, things happen along the way. And at some points, it's like he realized, hey, if I don't do things like this is the outcome is going to be like this. It's going to be a disaster. Yeah. Right? So with that being said, and like when I was able to know for sure, like a woman knows a man is being vulnerable. Like I think women instinctively know these things. When you kind of put all your cards on the table, no holds barred. And women, let's not be so like ridiculing. And so because at the end of the day, men are human, right? They're human and so are we. We make
Yeah.
mistakes and they definitely will make mistakes. So there has to be a level of, okay, you made a mistake. Okay, let's get through this mistake and let's try to fix things. Because if you don't think that way in your marriage, you're going to go on to the next marriage and on to the next
Same thing is
marriage.
gonna happen.
And the same thing is going to happen
Yeah.
because you lack ability to forgive. Forgiving is like a big, big thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure he has forgiven me many, 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 many times. And I have forgiven him many, many times likewise, in different areas. So, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a great point because um I, I think over the years I've my patience I've grown, and I think I've 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 grown a short term memory in terms. When I say short term memory, I mean like
Short
I'm
memory.
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
like we could be arguing about something right now, and I'm not gonna bring it to next week. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna
So we're
hold.
kind of we're
I'm not
funny.
gonna
We're
hold
funny. We're
on,
kind of funny to watch.
hold on
Honestly,
to you with that for we. I get it out and whatever, and we're back to okay because
we're literally
because
the 5 minute. We're like the 5 minute deal. Like we'll be so like heated about something,
yeah,
and I'm telling him
but
no, 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 and like and then but it's like it really has a short span. It
yeah,
like it's
and it goes
short
back.
term memory.
It goes back to the respect,
Yes.
right? Because because people disregard things they don't respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's you have to you have to have that respect for that person, right? And you have to hold that person to a standard, right? So um and that's I'm just talking what works for us, you know. So yeah, there's boundaries in a relationship, man. And there's like I said, a framework that you gotta live by. If you don't have any type of guidelines and framework, chaos.
Yeah. So
You know
I
what I
can I
mean?
can imagine somebody looking at us would be like, "How do you guys do that? Like you guys were like all out like disagreeing on this, and you guys
Yeah.
looked like you were like not liking each other, and then within an hour or two, it was like nothing ever happened." I think part of that is too where your mind is at, right?
Yeah.
So if your mind understands that you guys have a future, there's a tomorrow.
Yes. There's
Everything is very
yes.
temporary.
Because
Yeah.
this is like this is my wife. She ain't going nowhere. Why are you beating? It's pointless. You have an argument and you beat up yourself and you're vexed. How could you be in the same house and be vexed for 10 days, weeks?
Mm-hmm.
People are
Yeah.
past people and you holding
Yeah.
each other up for no reason. You
Yeah.
get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm
Yeah.
sorry guys with my Jamaican kicks and everything. I am real. All right.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So um
But
yeah, I just want you guys to be able to understand what we're saying though. Because that's it's a key thing. And
and that's sharing. So this we're sharing some of a part of our experience in life that works for us. Again, we're not perfect. We're
we're
not
not.
experts. We're not what worked for us may not work for you. And you could share down below and tell us what worked for you guys or what don't work for you or whatever the case may be. And always remember, it's two people in a relationship. So
Not
you
just
guys
one.
have to
Both
have
of you have to want
yeah, you
it.
exactly. You gotta want it. You gotta have the
Don't get
understanding
married if you
that
know you don't want it.
exactly.
And we have so many more topics to go
A
over
lot of
and to
stories.
discuss, a lot of stories to discuss.
Lots.
But for the purposes of time,
Yeah.
we're gonna cut this one short. But there's so many different areas that we could go, and the reason why we decided to speak about some of these topics too is because we get a lot of, I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's people, nobody's going to tell us this, but I'm pretty sure there's people that think we're fake. I don't know how, because anybody that's been around us, we're very transparent. Like, if I'm like, okay, so not in a disrespectful way, but this is a personality thing. Like, if Nick says something and I'm like side eyeing him, I'm side eyeing him, right? I don't do anything in a disrespectful manner, like outright disrespectful, like you just disrespected your husband in front of everybody. It's not like that, but I'm very like vocal and transparent in front of everybody and anybody. But it's funny because people will always ask us like, they're like, oh my gosh, you guys are such a cute
Yeah,
couple.
and that's what I was
Like
gonna
how?
say.
Yeah,
What compelled us to do this is or compelled me to do this. I, w- I hear people say it all the time here and there, like, "Oh, you guys work so good together. You guys are this and old people, young people, middle-aged people. It doesn't matter. I hear it all from them, right? So
yeah,
obviously,
we hear that a
I'm
lot.
thinking, okay, maybe there's something there that we're doing that I could share a little bit of what it is
Yeah,
with
how it works.
with
And
people.
people come to us and they
You know
ask
what I
us,
mean?
like,
So
we get asked for advice a lot.
so
Key thing, you don't go to people that are single for marriage advice. You don't go to people that are single if you're trying to get married. You go to people that are married, people that have a good track record, people that have a successful relationship. Even if it didn't start off right and you saw the significant growth or the shift in their marriage, that those are the people that you want to go to, not the people that don't know how to conduct a marriage, or not the marriages that you're looking at and you're like, I don't want to be like them.
yeah,
You want to go to people, obviously, which you kind of admire what they're doing and how they're doing it, how they get
yeah,
through issues and problems. So that's one thing to always keep in mind. You don't get advice from a single person. You do not get advice from a currently divorced person. Now, I'm not saying a divorced person cannot give you good insights, because I've heard a lot of women say, I
yeah,
would never walk away from my marriage, or I would have never done it
yeah.
if I had known X, Y, or Z.
Absolutely.
I would have stuck it
Yeah,
through. I would have worked it through. I've heard so many women say that. So, like, if you're getting advice, like what not to do to get to the point of divorce, that's different. But always lean on people that are successful in their marriage, that you have seen the fruits of their marriage.
hmm,
You've actually seen them elevate and not deflate.
exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, and to all the tough guys, I'm talking to the guys now. All the tough guys, be vulnerable to your spouse. It works, man. Be vulnerable. Just be honest. Be honest and be vulnerable. Put your cards on the table. Set your little pride aside and be an open book. And you'll feel so much better. Trust and believe what I'm saying. You will feel so much better. And next time I'm gonna give you guys a story about something that happened with me, and and I pretty much it brought me to
Are
my
you going to give it to
knees.
them next time?
It brought me to my knees. I don't know about next time. I'm gonna give it
It's
to
going
you
to
guys.
come. Yeah.
But it brought me to my knees, right? And just say I felt 1,000 times better when I actually and what I'm gonna and it will bring everything we talk about
Come
in
together.
together, and
Yeah.
you'll see exactly why I said you have to be vulnerable. You got to be honest, and you'll feel 1,000 times better about about your relationship, and stay within the framework of your union, and don't go outside of that, man. And you'll be you'll be fruitful, you'll be happy.
And read the word. Read the
Yeah,
word, because the word has all your answers to every problem concerning marriage and conduct, just in general, to make you a better person.
true.
Okay. Well, I think we kind of covered that marriage is actually easier than we think.
And honestly, man, this topic could go on for hours.
It
Like,
could.
there's so much you could talk
It
about.
could.
There's
And we're
so
gonna have
much.
many more parts to this.
Yeah. So,
We'll
if
dissect it. If
if
there's,
there's something they want us to talk about, you could,
let us know in the comment
yeah,
section.
and then we'll
Yeah.
definitely elaborate on that. But
We're so excited that you guys are here with us. Please be respectful to everybody's comments. We want to have the conversations in the comment section. So please go ahead and let us know what you're thinking. If something rubbed you the wrong way, you didn't like something that we said, or you want us to talk about something further.
And this, we're not marriage counselors.
We're not marriage counselors.
This is what worked for us, and this is how we feel about it. And you might feel different. You might have a different opinion on something or whatever. But we're just sharing
the best. You know, we're all for therapy, but the best indicator is the proof, the results. Okay, that's the best indicator. You see somebody that has good results, that is the best indicator that something went right. And so I believe there are secrets like that, you know, we're going to talk about as we go. There's going to be light bulbs going off for some people.
You know what? I think next one I'm going to talk about compromises in a relationship.
Did we talk about compromises before? Compromises?
I don't think, did we?
I don't know, but we might have a different spin on it or a different angle. Because
we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Compromises.
Yeah, how to make compromises or like what if a compromise or what if you can't compromise? Like what if you just can't compromise?
Because there's so much. I got so much stories. Even purchasing a vehicle. You know, there's just how
yeah, that's true.
How it works. How
we are often at opposing ends because of course we're two different people.
I think there's a lot to talk about.
So how do we handle that?
We discussed a lot. So
and kill that pride. Men and women, kill that pride.
I will share some personal stuff if you guys like the video and give me
a lot of likes. Give us a lot of likes.
And I'll give you guys some personal insight.
Give us a lot of likes.
Mind-blowing.
The more likes we get, the closer we are going to get. The more likes we get and the more subscribers that we get, we will get closer and closer to unveiling like the nitty gritty. Okay. All right. Well, that is it. We are exhausted, and
it's Friday.
It's Friday night, so we're gonna let you guys go, and we will be back on another Friday night. And I'm really excited that we are back doing this again. I know there's a few people that are like extremely happy, and we hope to do some live streams and have some guests on our podcast. All right. Well, we will see you guys.
See you guys next time.
Later. Guys. Bye, guys. And don't forget to subscribe and come back for some home decor, shopping, lifestyle, love, fun, family, everything.
Bye-bye.
See you guys later. Bye.